everyone, Theodore Burns here for week 12 of the IndyPro 2000 lap walkthrough series. This is the final week of 2024 season 1. My apologies, wasn't able to get you guys a video last week for the Kern Oval. I was gone with work, and I also apologize for this one being a little bit late getting out as well. But you know, better late than never. So to make it up to you guys, I went a little bit above and beyond on the setup this week. A couple more tweaks than I might normally do, and I think it's really solid and probably one of the best setups I've released all season. So. You know, it's a little bit more dialed in, made a couple spring changes, a little bit more, a few more toe changes, and I think it feels really solid and consistent from, you know, start to the end of the run. So let me know what you guys think about the setup this week, if you need any help adjusting it or so forth. So conditions this week for the hot lap, it was a 70 air, 73 track, which is a little bit down from the session I built it in. It was about 78 track there, so it's really focusing on trying to get a little bit more grip out of it. So if we do get some cooler races this week, it'll definitely feel really nice, but should still be drivable in the hotter conditions. 25% usage for the hot lap as always. So I did about 8 laps here this week. Got down to a 48.213. It's about a tenth and a half off my optimal, which is right down at 48.0. Just, you know, couple minor little things here or there in each sector. Nothing major. But yeah, it's 31 laps this week, so a lot of laps around here. It's a really short circuit, only 1.3 miles long, so it's so it takes a bit for the tires to get up to temp and really kind of settle in. So that's why we did about 8 laps there. All right, so without further ado, let's watch a hot lap around Okayama short track. All right, and there we have the lap. So only 7 turns here this week. We'll start off coming into turn 1. So brake marker for turn 1, which is dubbed the first corner. There's not a great reference exactly where I'm going to be braking. What I'm looking for is I'm kind of judging the distance between this the bridge over top and this blue cone there, and I'm going to try and brake about halfway between the two. So I pass under the bridge, there's the cone, and there I brake. It's far left-hand side of the track. Pretty aggressive brake, but I want to bail out of it pretty early and carry just a little bit of trail brake to try and keep some weight on the nose as I turn into the corner. So it's a very long corner. The exit does kind of tighten on you. It's really inviting to carry in a lot more speed, but we really want to search for a pretty late apex. So I'm turning in all the way down, and I'm hitting that apex maybe like a car length before the end of the actual curbing. And by the time I get down there, I'm at maximum steering, but I start to ease the throttle in because I really want to get my mid-corner speed up because it's such a long corner. As I do that, I don't quite get to full until I can straighten my hands up on exit and know that I'm not going to run out of track. And as you can see, the car still likes to track out, and I can end up all the way over here right on the far left-hand side. There's a little bit of you know, cement that extends the track just that little bit. I want to make sure I get all the way out to there, use the maximum amount of track here through turn 1. So with that, let's watch that back through one more time in real speed from Chase camera. right, so now setup approaching turn 2 this week. So I forgot to actually take down the real corner numbers from iRacing, so bear with me if, if a couple of the corner numbers are a little bit incorrect, not looking at my normal sheet here. But for turn, probably 2, 3, 4 complex, or maybe just 2, 3 complex coming through until we get onto this mid straight here. This all kind of blends into one, and what we really want to work on is maximizing our exit out of that, but also rolling as much minimum speed as possible. So again, I don't have a great brake reference. Maybe it's almost kind of like where this blue and white wall ends, but what I'm really doing is I'm really keeping my eyes in here through the apex and trying to carry a bit of speed past this first apex. So because I'm treating this as a double apex right hand corner here, and I don't want to. I'm not super concerned about getting all the way down onto this apex. I'm more concerned about setting up in the trajectory for my hard right turn as I rejoin back onto the original track layout. So you can see I get down maybe half a car width off of how far over I could go, and I'm starting to just ease out of the brakes here. I get all the way down into second gear, and I'm carrying just a tiny little bit of trail brake to keep the weight on the nose, because there's a little bit of undulation here in the track, couple bumps, and I just want to make sure that that I keep the car settled across those. If I release off the brake here, it has a tendency to over rotate and have the rear end come around. So that's why I'm keeping the brake on there. So now I get to this point, I'm about mid-track and about halfway through the corner, and as we can see, kind of this white line, dash line here is the point where we come back onto the existing track. Now this curb over here on the right-hand side, it is pretty aggressive, especially right on the transition back onto the original track. So I can't use too much of that because it basically just like lifts the whole car up and I lose drive. So I want to try and be just wide of that and kiss it with the right side tires. So what I'm going to do from this point is I want to keep the car loaded, keep the left side tires loaded. So I'm keeping my hands in here, and so I'm going to start to ease just a little bit of throttle in, and all this throttle is doing is increasing my radius so that I'm not going to clip too much of this red and white curb. So that's all I'm doing right here. Only about 50% throttle. As you can see, I get up and use a fair amount of the curb, but right here is where it'll really start to kick you. See, I got pretty big jump right there as I came off the curb, but it didn't throw me too far over. I'm still about mid-track here, and so I can ease into full throttle through this transition as long as the car comes off of the bump there settled, which the setup it should. So full throttle through the transition until I can turn back to the left. And as I do that, now I need to bail out of that throttle just a little bit. I'm not actually going to hit the brakes. I think about brushing the brakes here, but I don't actually hit them. I'm just doing a lift with the throttle to get the car rotated to the left here through Piper Corner onto this little back straight. So I come out. I have just that tiny little bit down to zero to really turn it in, and that's right back into this kind of 50% throttle to make sure I keep up this minimum speed and keep up the trajectory through the corner. I don't over rotate and clip the left sides down onto the grass. But I want to use as much of this curb as possible, but not actually hook it down there, because it does drop off a little bit and you can definitely kick the car just a little bit too much. Because we're a little bit unsettled here. We're carrying a lot of speed through the corner. It is very flat, so it's really hard to get the power down. So because of that, as I come off, I start to ease into the throttle. And basically, once I can start to almost straighten out my hands, that's when I can ease it into this full throttle. And you can see I went just a touch too soon there and had to catch just a little bit of a power slide. And you're going to end up on this red and white curb. I don't want to go over it because, again, it's kind of a drop off down to this green curb here, and you can really almost like high side the car on this curb here. It's kind of like a point, and it just shoots you off, and then it gets really inconsistent. You're either in the grass, spinning back across the track. So I want to try and avoid putting the right side tires onto this little piece of green cement out there. But I want to get to throttle as soon as possible to drive out of this corner. So as you can see, I was maybe just like, a tire width or tire length too soon, getting a throttle there with just that little bit of oversteer. Didn't really cost me a whole lot of time. I mean, that's probably where this almost half a tenth came by the time I get down to the end of the sector there, just losing it on the run out of the straight. But it's not significant. It's not if you get in throttle just a little bit too soon, it's not enough that someone could really pull out on you. It's still a pretty short straight here. All right, so with that, we'll watch this section back through one more time in real speed from the chase camera. All right, so now we're coming up into the kind of the switchbacks, the left-right switchbacks here that Okayama is famous for. This is a Redman and then Hobbs corners. So coming into these, my brake marker for this, I'm looking at the 50 board. The 50 is still pretty deep though, so I'm almost gonna try and brake just prior to that. Like the 50 is the absolute maximum that I want to go, because these corners are so flat and you want to try and carry as much speed around them as possible, so you have the highest minimum speed. That if you end up pushing this brake zone, you end up coming in a little bit too much on the front tires, and the rear end just rotates itself around, and you lose so much time just having it step out. So the last thing you want to do in this section of corners, in this left-right section, is to go too deep on the brakes. So again, this 50 is like the limit, the absolute maximum. So I'm going to want to be braking just a little bit sooner than that. And as you can see, it's almost like half a car length prior to that 50 is when I'm braking. It's a very aggressive brake, but I want to ease out of it very quickly as I start to turn into the corner, because again, I don't want all that weight on these front tires. I'm driving into a hill, but it's extremely flat through here, and I don't want the car to over-rotate. So by the time I'm actually coming into the corner here, I'm almost at zero, just that little bit of brake to get me all the way down onto this apex. So you notice I've carried in as much speed as possible. Basically, I'm right on the verge of scrubbing the front tires, and that's all this little touch of 5% brake is doing, is to help try and just bring the nose down so I get all the way down onto this apex. So you can use these apex curbs. You don't have to, but I find they help to rotate the cars a little bit. With the setup, I'm not over rotating with them, but if you are finding you're over rotating on the curbs, then just bump right off of them. But here I am on the curb, start to ease into throttle once I'm in the mid corner, but again, I have to be extremely patient in getting the throttle through these. Wait till I'm almost completely out of the corner before I can start to ease into it. See, I've started to unwind my hands, and that's when I can feed in the throttle, and I'm still just kind of managing the rear of the car as I come through here with the right pedal. And so I give just this quick burst of full, and now again, same thing. I want to brake almost like significantly earlier than I really think for this corner, because what I really care about is the exit out of here, and how I get that is the trajectory, and being so flat and so low grip through this corner. I really have to work on getting the car fully rotated by the apex so I can get on power at the proper time, and that all comes from this approach right here. So it's just left of center track. I'm not using the full track width. There's a lot of grip, from this point in, and it's an early brake. Like I'm so far away from the corner for only 72 miles an hour to be, braking, and it's a pretty light brake. It's only about 25%. You can see I carry just that little bit of trail brake in, trying to make sure I get the nose down, still just trying to scrub these front tires in here and get all the way down onto this onto the curbing, not quite on the curbing, but right down to it with the right side tire. So I'm on the white line here. Once I get about halfway through this corner, you can see that the car is nice and rotated. So I'm still perpendicular to the corner here. I'm not still waiting to make the turn, which is what happens if you carry in too much speed, brake too late, turn in too soon. Your trajectory, you're pointing about over here, and you still need to make the corner. So by this mid corner, I have the car rotated. I'm perpendicular, with the corner. I'm starting to go on the drive out. And so with this corner, you can start to ease into throttle pretty aggressively. You can see I start to get about 80–90% even just before I start to unwind my hands. And then it's full throttle as I unwind my hands, because I can really track out and just kind of manage the rear by just tracking the car out as wide as possible. It's not really increasing my track, my lap distance all that much. It's more just managing the rear to get the power down, because I can carry that much more speed out of here, and that's what's important, is the power down, and not the couple extra meters, feet of track distance that I'm driving. As you can see, there's just a little crest to manage the back end, but I end up left side tires right over here on the drive out. So, tricky section there, a lot of managing the grip levels. It's extremely slippery, so it's back everything up, roll in the speed so it forces the front tires to break loose and not the rear. If you come in too deep, you're going to be having too much weight on the nose, the rear's going to rotate around. Same thing if you try and get in throttle too early, it's just going to kick the rear out. So just a lot of management, a lot of patience through this section. All right, now our last sequence of corners, which is Mike Knight corner, and then last corner subsequently, which would be turn, I would assume, 6 and 7. Again, I don't have the numbers up here in front of me. But coming through these, so this right-hander, I tried taking this flat, and it just pushes you a little bit wide, and you're just a little bit unstable for the braking for the final corner. So what I ended up doing is, as I turn into the corner, because it's downhill, I do give this little bit of a confidence lift, because I want to get the right side tires all the way up onto this curb. I don't quite want to hook it because it will upset the car a little bit, but I just give that little breathe of throttle, and it's not quite enough to actually like slow the car down. It's just enough so I come off of this corner settled, and then it's right back into full throttle. And the reason for that is, right now the car is settled, I'm accelerating. If I take that flat out, I'm coming in here pretty loaded up on the left-hand side, and this brake zone for the last corner is extremely early. It comes right up on you. Right about when this curbing ends is what I'm using as a reference. And again, at the very end of the curbing is about as deep as you want to take that. So it's about 50% brake. And it's a pretty early turn, and I want to get all the way down onto this apex curbing. Because we are sloping downhill, I want to make sure I get down to this apex. Otherwise, I'm just going to drive a little bit too deep and really have to slow down the car, because I really need to maximize my exit, because this is one of the longest straight and one of the best overtaking opportunities. So need to maximize the run out of here. So just trail that little bit to keep the weight on the nose all the way down onto the apex. Again, I want to turn in kind of early, but I don't want to get onto this curb early. I don't want to hit the curb here. I want to hit it still about halfway through the corner where a normal apex is. But because of the elevation change, I do need to give that little bit of a tip in early, and that's where I carry just this touch of brake to keep the weight on the nose to turn it all the way down onto the curbing here. Once I get on the curbing, I want to get in the throttle pretty aggressively, as smoothly straight up to full throttle, so that I can really just carry the speed out of the corner and on track out. So as you can see, once I straighten my hands up, I need to use all of the track here, all of the green, red, and white curbing. This doesn't pick you up a 1X. You can, with some setups, kind of bottom the car out here on the red and white curbing. So especially like the USF is that way. So in the USF, I don't want to put the left side tires more than just on the red and white here. But on IndyPro, I can use, at least with this setup, I have the ride height high enough. This isn't really going to slow the car down too much. Again, this might be that 0.03 by the time I get to the line by scraping it on here. But I'm on throttle. I'm getting a good run out of the corner here. Avoiding the grass there, which is where you would pick up a 1X, but again, this was clean coming out of it, and full throttle all the way to the line. So let's do that last sequence of corners one more time from chase camera in real speed. So again, one thing I missed there is the final corner. I like to try and take this in third gear. It's you could go to second, but you're going to overslow the car on the drive out. So I try and keep it in third and get the car rotated. If you're struggling to rotate it because it's hot, you're following someone, you may need to go to second, but just know that you are going to hurt your run out. So real important, keep it up the gear through the last corner and to the line. So with that, that's my 48.213. Thanks for watching. Again, sorry about the delay this week and last week, but videos here. Thanks for watching all season. Thanks for trying the setups out. Really, happy to hear when it helps you guys out or allows some of you guys to drive the Indy Pro. So really appreciate you guys hanging out, driving the setups, and hope to continue that next season. I'll be a little bit busier with work and travel, but I'll try my best to get you guys a setup and a lap walkthrough as many weeks as possible. So yeah, again, thanks for watching. A great season. Unfortunately, I won't be out here to race Okayama this week. I fly out for work on Wednesday morning. So good luck to everyone in the broadcast race this week, and I will see you next season.